My life, like many of yours, is filled with lots of wonderful things to include working, writing, creating, gardening, exercising, and cooking. Yes, cooking. I'm on a mission to change the way we see, experience, and relate to food. The concept of Sankofa reminds us to go back and fetch what was essential for maintaining a quality and wholesome lifestyle and apply it to modern day practices. So, would you like to join me at the table? Welcome to my Sankofa Table. I am your host, Tia Caper. This is our premiere show, actually, and today's title will be Eating to Live. Here on this program, we will talk all things health and wellness from an Afrocentric point of view. Historically, we have been taught the standard American diet, or SAD diet, as I would call it. And we've been told things like milk does a body good. We've been told to eat meat because we need protein. And we've been told a number of things. And as a result, it's led a lot of us to obesity. It's led a lot of people to diseases, discomfort. And so this is a really good time to start thinking about changing your lifestyle. In recent times, more people have become more health conscious about what they put in their bodies and have been more intentional. Personally, I transitioned to a vegan lifestyle about 5 years ago. And as a result, I have been able to help different family members, friends, co-workers, followers on social media. Sometimes leading by example is truly a good thing because you never know who you're going to impact. Also, you should be aware that there are levels to transitioning to different lifestyles. Some people transition from meat to just maybe eating fish. Some people transition to vegetarianism, where they only eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, and a little bit of dairy. Some people do like me and become vegan, where they cut out all milk and dairy. Some people are breatharians. Some people are flexitarians. Some people say they're plant-based. So find what works for you and stick to that. So your goal may not look like my goal, and it's okay. You have to focus on a goal that's conducive to your lifestyle and to what you can realistically do. My advice to anyone who wants to transition to a healthier lifestyle is to pretty much start where you are. Just start by cutting out certain things, substituting, and even cutting back on certain things. And in today's program, we're going to put a little twist on one of those American standard meals. Instead of a meat burger, like some people use ground beef or turkey, today we're going to do a bean burger. And we're also going to do some plantain fries. So instead of the starchy potatoes, we're going to use plantains instead. So if that's something you're interested in, then stay tuned. And when we come back from this short break, we will be in the kitchen or in the studio cooking up something nice and tasty with a healthier twist to it. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Hey, this is Chocolate Drop with the Chocolate Box Presents and
Tia Capers of my Sankofa Table.
And we want to encourage you to tune into both our programs. The Chocolate Box comes on every Tuesday at 12 noon and then again at 9 p.m. And what about my Sankofa Table?
My Sankofa Table airs every second and fourth Saturday of the month, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On Spectrum Cable Channel 21 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. So you never know what you're going to get.
Nope.
You can watch the Chocolate Box Presents or
My Sankofa Table. What else?
and everyone is welcome at the table.
Absolutely.
Hope to see you there.
See you there. Bye. Welcome back. As I've said, we were going to mix things up a little bit, and instead of cooking a regular burger, we're going to make bean burgers today. So what I've already done was taken some cans of black beans and put them in my food processor. And I've mixed in maybe a tablespoon or two of garbanzo bean flour, and I've also mixed in some onions and peppers, and I've seasoned it. So with these burgers, typically you can mix in anything that you choose to mix in. For me, I just stick to the black beans, a little bit of flour, and some seasonings and some onions and peppers. But if you have leftover rice, if you have leftover kale, if you have leftover, some people put carrots in there, some people put corn, whatever your preference is, you're able to mix it in because you're not going to be able to have a distinct taste with it. So in the interest of time, and because we're in the studio and I don't have a full kitchen, I've already mixed up the bean burgers. I've already formed them into patties. I typically cook mine in grapeseed oil, so that's what I'll be using today. So I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of grapeseed oil in the pan just to get things going. And I'm going to turn down my heat a little bit so we don't burn anything up. And in this pan, I'm going to go ahead and saute some onions and peppers is what I'll be using to put on the burger when it's done. And also, I have some other condiments over here. You can put lettuce and tomatoes. You can put guacamole. You can put, like I said, the onions. Sometimes I fry mushrooms and put them in there. So what I'm doing now is just placing the bean burgers in the pan. And because they're canned beans, they're pretty much done. So you're just browning them on both sides. And if they tend to break up a little bit, it's okay. You can kind of mash it back down together. So don't panic, because when I first started cooking them, I would get discouraged with them breaking up a little. These have sat in the refrigerator, so it's good to sit them in the refrigerator, ahead of time before you start cooking them, and then they'll hold together a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some onions and peppers in the pan. I've already pre-cut these. You can use any combination that you want. If you don't like onions, it's okay. If you don't like peppers, that's okay too. So I tend to just cook this just a little bit to have something to top on my burger. Also for this recipe, you can use any type of bread that you choose. I typically use spelt bread, which are ancient grains. Today I have wheat buns. You can toast those if you like. So really, when you're cooking, make it your own dish. You don't have to do it exactly how somebody else does it. You can use whatever bread, whatever condiments, whatever toppings that you choose to use. So the good news about these bean burgers is that you can also freeze them. So if you cook up too many, it's okay. You can eat them the next day as leftovers. Sometimes I take mine, and instead of eating it on bread, I'll put it on a salad the next day. They're good for travel. I've also put them on a wrap. I've also just eaten it plain if I didn't have anything else to put it on. So after a few minutes, you can just flip them over. I turn my heat up just a little bit more. I prefer to cook in cast iron skillets, but you can use whatever pans you have at home. Just make sure they're kind of like a non-stick surface. And so while all of that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and start slicing my tomatoes, because we want to start thinking about what we're going to top the burger with. I'll use this knife. So I'll just make some slices. Some people still use cheese, so some people put cheese on there. Sometimes if I have walnut cheese, I'll put walnut cheese on my burger. Okay, so we have our tomatoes sliced. I already have the lettuce here. And I'm also going to make just a little bit of guacamole, since we have a little time to wait for the burgers to brown. I'm just going to make a little bit of guacamole. So for this, I just take an avocado, put it in a bowl, season it up, Add in some onions, maybe a little bit of lime juice, and mash it up. You don't have to go that far. You can just slice it up and put it right on your sandwich if you choose to. Okay. So I'm just gonna give this lime a slice and just squeeze a little bit in there. This helps to prevent our guacamole or our avocado from turning colors too. We want to keep it nice and green, especially if we're sharing this dish with somebody. We don't want to give them brown avocado. And I already have some onions diced here, so I'm just going to add in some of those. And then after we make this, I'm going to go ahead and cut up the plantains for the fries, for the plantain fries. Now, sometimes these beans soak up a lot of oil, so I'm going to add just a little bit more grapeseed oil in here. And this is something you can do with your kids too. So if you want to get the kids in the kitchen, let them help form the burgers. And I don't know if I've said this before, but you can use any type of bean that you want to use. I just prefer black beans. Some people use pinto beans. Some people use black-eyed peas. Whatever you have, when you mash it all up, bring it all together, it tends to work out, especially when you season it. And because these beans are pre-cooked, you can taste it along the way. You don't have to wait to taste it to make sure you have enough seasoning added to it. Okay, so I'm just giving the burgers a little flip. And again, if they start to break up, it's okay. Just mash it back together. Don't freak out. It took me a while to get my burgers to actually look like a burger. I use this same recipe for if I'm making like meatballs and pasta. You would just roll the burgers into like a ball. And you would just brown them on all sides. You can also put these burgers in the oven. So you don't have to cook them on top of the stove. You can put them in the oven on a cookie sheet and they'll be just fine. Okay, so the onions and peppers are starting to soften some. And I'm going to get, I did not bring a fork, but I'll just mash with this spoon here. I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt. Just start off with like maybe a teaspoon or so. So I'm just giving the avocado a mash. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's going on the burger. You can add in cilantro in here. I do have some fresh parsley from my garden, so I'll add a little bit of that in there. I picked this off this morning. So I'll just cut that up a little bit, put that in there. Give it a mix. You can add black pepper. You can add cayenne pepper if you want to make it spicy. All right, so it's done. That's all done. All right. And the burgers are almost done, believe it or not. And again, these are really good to travel with. A lot of times when I'm traveling, I'll make up a batch of bean burgers to take with me. So when I get to my destination, I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat. It's already done. I eat these at room temperature or I heat them up. Doesn't matter. Okay. And again, you may have to add more oil to the pan because they kind of soak up the oil. And right now I'm just forming them back together because they're starting to break up just a little bit. So I scrape all the crumbs together. All right. If you like, you can season your onions and peppers as well. It's up to you. I like to add layers of seasoning to my food, and I also eat with my eyes. So I like to have bright colors to make things inviting. I find that when you have things nice and bright and vibrant, you're more likely to want to eat it. And if you're serving others, they're more likely to want to eat your food. So that's one thing that I do. I just try to add color. All right, so I'm going to take these onions and peppers up. And then we're going to get ready to cut up the plantains so we can make the fries. And I'm going to use the same pan. I'm going to use the same pan here because the only thing we cooked was onions and peppers. So pan's fine. I don't need to clean it. I'm just going to transition it right on over to the plantains. All right, so I have all the onions and peppers up. I'm just going to sit these in this bowl to the side. Move that out of the way. Move that out of the way. And I'm just going to turn my heat down just a little bit while I get the plantains ready. And I'm going to add in some oil. Now for the plantain fries, you can cut them in a circular motion or you can cut them like French fries. It's up to you. Whatever your preference is. Sometimes I cut them depending on how I'm feeling. So to cut the plantain, you cut off the ends and then you just peel it. Now I try to get the yellowish, greenish ones because the older they are or the more ripe the plantains are, the sweeter they get. So if you want sweet fries, then get the darker plantains. Otherwise, get the ones on the yellowish, greenish side. I'm just gonna cut it in half, and then I'm just gonna slice it as if I were cutting a potato or cutting French fries. So I'm just gonna give it a slice here, and then I'm just gonna cut them into strips. Let me flip that over. Cut them into strips as if they were French fries. All right, and so the oil is heating up. Now, I've also already pre-mixed some seasoning. So the seasoning is a little bit of sea salt, onion powder, and some herbs. And these are the typical basics that I start off with: sea salt, onion powder, and herbs. So I've already mixed up some stuff to add in there. So I just mix it up in a jar, and it has a combination of everything, some of everything. Feel free to mix up your own at home. So I'm just going to sprinkle it a little bit. I did not put sea salt in here, kept the salt separate, so I've just sprinkled just a little bit of sea salt and give the fries a toss. I'm going to turn the burgers down because they're almost done. Move the seasoning around the fries a little bit, and then I'm going to add them to the pan. Turn the heat back up a little bit since I'm just about ready for them. And just lay them in the pan. I also use plantains to make potato salad, believe it or not. Or sometimes I use green banana. So the plantains are pretty versatile, and they're a healthier option versus potatoes. So I have the fries in there. I'll go ahead and cut up this other one. And do the same. Season it up and add it to the oil. All right, so once the plantains get ready, or just about, then we can start building a burger. We can start putting on all of the condiments because, believe it or not, these bean burgers are pretty much done. And it didn't take us a long time. I'm going to give them another flip. And sometimes if they still feel a little soft, you can cook them this way on top of the stove, and you can also just put them in the oven for a few minutes, and they'll tend to firm up a little bit. The oven kind of dries them out, and it'll make them a little bit more firm. You can make these as thin or as thick as you'd like, so they don't all have to be humongous, or if you're making them for like sliders, you can make them smaller. All right, so I'm going to turn the bean burgers off, and they'll stay warm. I'm going to check on the fries over here and season up the other ones. All right. And usually for the fries, instead of ketchup, I make a little sauce, what I call my honey mustard sauce, and it's just mustard and a little bit of agave and whatever seasonings I want to put in there, usually a little bit of parsley. Sometimes if I want it spicy, I'll add in a little bit of crushed red pepper. All right, so I'll add these fries in here as well. And then I'll take the tongs and just kind of flip them over, some of the ones that have been in there for a while. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but believe it or not, they're starting to brown like French fries. And I'm telling you now, fried mushrooms taste really good on this dish. All right, so while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of mustard on the bread so we can start building our burger. If you prefer ketchup, you can put ketchup on your burger. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of lettuce. And a little bit of onions. Well, maybe a piece of tomato. And then some onions and peppers. And a little bit of our guacamole. Put that on the plate. If you'd like, you can toast it a little bit. Just move one of the burgers out the way and toast your top piece. I'll do a second one. Move the burger out of the way. Put the bread in there to warm up a little bit. Go in with our lettuce. And our tomato. A little bit of onions and peppers. And a little bit of guacamole. And anything else you want to put on there. And then we'll go ahead and put a burger on this one. And we'll put the tops on. So, I think some of our plantains are done, or fries, plantain fries are done. Now, these fries are pretty good when you first cook them. I wouldn't suggest cooking these too far in advance. Just pretty much cook to serve. I don't typically use the microwave, so usually when I cook, I'm ready to eat. I don't want to warm it up later. Unless I have to. All right. So some of our plantains are ready. Now what you can do is take and drain some of them on a paper towel, because they will retain a little bit of the oil. So before you plate them, you might want to drain them just a little bit. And I'm telling you, this smells so good. I didn't eat yet today. I typically eat at about noon, and it's early. So, and I just want to remind you that we will be on the 2nd and the 4th Saturdays of the month at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So please tell a friend. Don't keep me a secret. And we'll try to come up with some fun shows. We're going to have a guest on one of our programs talking about food etiquette. You know, we have Eating Healthy on a Budget coming up. We have a Hotel Hot Plate Shenanigans coming up. So we have some pretty cool and informative shows coming up. So you don't want to miss out. All right, so the ones that have drained, I'm going to put them there. We're going to let the other ones continue to cook a little. And voila, we have burgers and fries, right? So we've done a bean burger, we've done guacamole, we've done plantain fries, and we are all set for the cookout. We're all set for the event, dinner, lunch, you know, a meal with the kids, picnic, whatever you want, traveling. So thanks for tuning in. I look forward to bringing you guys more healthier recipes in the future, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.